Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey. I am a knitwear designer from the southwest of France, and this is a podcast where I share all that I am making. Thank you so much for joining me for this new episode. I hope you're doing well. Yes, I have cut my hair. Do not panic. It is not contagious. It's fine. I'm saying this because last time I had a hair change on the podcast, I received some very intense comments, people telling me that it was upsetting. So don't worry, I am not going to come and cut your hair. I know some people are very sensitive and attached to their hair and how it looks. Really, I'm not. I don't really care. That's not a big change really for me. Like I didn't do any color weirdness this time, and I didn't do a pixie cut like I did 10 years ago. Time is fake. 10 years ago I had very long hair like I had before, and I just went and did a pixie cut, which I loved, but I currently don't really have the motivation to go to the hairdresser regularly to maintain it, so this is what we're doing. So I did think last time that I should give you a heads up so that you're not shocked when you see me. But the time between the moment I took the decision and the moment I cut my hair, there was about half an hour. So there's that. Too hot. I like having long hair, but it's just, I don't have the patience to learn, nor the patience, nor the skills, and nor the will to learn those skills, to know how to do it the way that I would like. And so it just grates on me little by little until it's too much and I need to get rid of it now. That's what I did. But yeah, like I said, not contagious. Don't be mad at people for something that they're doing to their own physical appearance, because it turns out it has no effect on yours. I know, shocking. Anyway, that's enough. I'm warning you, I'm feeling very obnoxious today, so I made a lot of snarky remarks in my French podcast, so that's the mood, I guess. I have a podcast with like no logical link between all of my projects. It's completely random. Sometimes I seem to be able to find something connecting everything. Right now it's just messy. I have a new sock design that I just released, an old sock design that I am re-knitting for myself, and a new work in progress, which is a big Colourwork cardigan. So that's what we are doing, and you can find timestamps to all the different sections of the podcast in the description. So if you want to skip a project or look into something special, you can look at that. I also put links to everything that I talk about, the yarns and the patterns that I will be mentioning, as well as links to my social media, my patterns, and my Patreon if you would like to support me and have access to some behind the scenes videos. So what I'm wearing first, I am wearing one of my designs, which is the Uno top, which is a very simple tank top, which has basically a round scoop neck or a V-neck. Isn't that nice to be able to show you stuff without 2 billion hairs in the way? My hair was so heavy, I swear to God. So you can make 2 round necks or 2 V-necks. There is a little lace detail here around the armhole, some garter stitch here. I did a long split hem, which you can do or shorter or not. And I knitted mine flat so I can make it 2 colors, but if you're making 1 color, you can of course join in the round if you want. It's a very basic tank top, and sleeveless top. And it is knitted in my favorite summer yarn, which is Long Blust Summerside, which is a blend of cotton and silk, which I love so much. and I'm gonna rave about it again. I really like it. I really recommend that you try it. If you're not a fan of plant fibers, or if you haven't tried them yet and you're worried that you're not gonna be able to find the right project or the right way to work with a pure yarn, like a pure cotton, which can be a bit stiff, a pure linen, which can have a little bit of a difficult feel to it and weird definition, or a pure bamboo, which is very flimsy, go for a blend firstly, and then go for this one because it is so nice. It is super soft, it's super light, and see how airy and pleasant it is. It has, well, you can't really see here, but I have worked some lace and cable knits with it, and it has a lovely definition. It's super airy and pleasant to wear. I feel like I don't have anything, basically. And it comes in lovely colors. It is a pretty accessible price point. I think it's €7 now per ball. But I get mine on Filatier's website, and they regularly have sales, either on a whole range or on certain colorways. But yeah, I really love this yarn. It's a sport weight. You can use it pretty much for anything, fingering and DK weight patterns alike. It's great. I really recommend it. It's very easy to work with, and I think it's a really good plant fiber, silken is not plant fiber, but like plant and summer fiber friendly yarn. I think it's a really beginner friendly one. That's what I mean to say. So yeah, that is what I'm wearing. It's so pleasant, but I don't wear it a lot outside because I don't quite know how to what to wear with it, because like I like having multicolored thing, but then I don't know what to wear them with, because like I have these burgundy linen pants and I think it looks good with the white side, but not so much with the blue side. I don't know. I'm not very good at making outfits. I really am not someone who has a good sense of style, I think, and so I'm kind of bunching colors that I like together. I'm like, does that look good? Probably not. Do I care? Probably not as well. But yeah, it's very pleasant at this time while it's quite hot. So I have a new design that I just published that I would like to share with you, which is these little socks. So these are the Daphnis socks. They are mosaic socks. I've been making this year a color-focused sock collection, and this is a mosaic design. So these are knit cuff downs like all of my sock patterns. This is really my preferred way. I think it's a question of habit, but it's also preference, because you kind of like figure things out your own way. I really like the heel flap and gusset heel, and it's just way easier for me to work it top down, because if I work it from the toe here, then I feel like I need to really count how many rows I can make before the heel, so that I can increase enough for the gusset, and it's just not something I want to think about when I'm knitting socks. Too much math for socks. And I also hate binding off in ribbing, and I really dislike all of the stretchy binds offs. I like none of them that I've tried. I don't mind grafting, and I've been thinking of, I'm on a tangent right now, but I've been thinking about Italian bind offs and how many people love the Italian bind off, which is a bind off that you do with a needle, and it looks like the tubular bind off in the sense that it rolls in and it's very pretty. And I see all of those people using the Italian bind off and being so happy with it, and they're making it on massive sweaters, like with 2 billion stitches everywhere on the hem, the cuffs, the neck, etc. And at the same time, these same people, they say that they hate grafting. It's the same thing. the same thing. So, yeah. Next time I see someone complaining about having to graft one of my designs, and then there's also someone who makes Italian bind-off on everything, I see you. It's not exactly the same thing, but it's a similar motion. So really, I don't I don't think it's if you like one, you would hate the other. Well, I mean, it's not like we're logical, are we? Anyway, I say this, and I'm someone who's very lazy to make Italian bind-offs, and I don't mind grafting socks. So cuff down, it is. And so there is some broken rib, so it's 1 by 1 broken rib, and you have this mosaic pattern, which is a small geometric one, and it is made in garter. So mosaic knitting only uses one color per round. You can make it in stockinette or in garter or in a mix of knits and purls. This is garter. And basically you're slipping stitches. You're slipping the stitches that you want to remain in the previous color, and you're knitting the stitches that you want to be in the other color. And it makes these really nice geometric-like designs. So this is really beginner friendly. If you have never done mosaic, no problem. Then you can make it all over the leg like I did. You can of course make a longer leg. You can make a smaller part just at the top of the leg, however you want. You have 2 heels in the pattern. I did the heel flap and gusset, like I said, that's my favorite one. And you also have instructions to make a German short row heel. And then you have a little dotted texture on the top of the foot. And the sole under the foot is in stockinette. The foot. That was very, very French. Yeah. So, like I said, this is fairly beginner friendly. The pattern includes charted and written instructions, and for the charts you have 2 contrasts. So when you're working a Colourwork or any type of Colourwork actually motif, you have a chart with a certain contrast. Usually the background is light and the pattern, so the contrast color, is darker. But if you're actually knitting with opposite yarns, it can be a bit difficult, because especially if it's small little geometric things, you don't really have a sense of the overall picture. And if you see, like, I see a white square, but my yarn is dark, and so you kind of have to juggle, and it's a bit difficult to follow. And I want to thank my testers, because I forgot to include that in the pattern. So my testers gave me a reminder that that's a good thing to do. So you have the 2 options in the pattern. So if you have a dark background and a light contrast color like I do, or vice versa, you have a chart for each possibility. So it's super easy to follow. The one thing about these socks is that you need to be a little bit conscious about the fit here. So the actual mosaic is a certain stitch repeat, and so you cast on a certain number of stitches, and then at the end of the mosaic you will change the stitch count to reach the right circumference for the foot. So this means that you need to juggle a bit with your needle size, especially while you get used to your mosaic tension if you've never done it. So what I recommend in the pattern is that you cast on with a larger size needle that you usually would. You work a little bit of the mosaic and then you try it on. And if it's too big, well, then you need to pick a smaller needle size, and if it's too small, you need to pick a bigger needle size. I tend to knit tighter in mosaic because it's kind of like stranded knitting. You don't have floats on the back, but you do slip stitches, so you have a thickness, and it makes a denser fabric. And for me, that means it's tighter. It's not as elastic, and so I need a bigger needle size. Some people, it's the opposite. They tend to knit looser, probably because of the purl stitches of the garter rounds. So you need to see a little bit. The mosaic, like I said, beginner-friendly mosaic, but you need to be a bit familiar with sock fit and how you like your sock to fit. If you like a tighter leg, a looser leg, depending on how your ankles are as well. You might need something a little bit looser. There are a lot of sizes in the pattern as well, so you can transfer from one size to the next also if you need to. But yeah, just need to be a little bit conscious of your gauge. Doesn't mean that you have to swatch, just that you need to be aware of how things work and adjust your tension if necessary so it fits like you want. And yeah, these are the Daphnis socks. Another little feature is that the beginning of the round has a jog in mosaic, which is not really possible to fix because you're slipping some stitches already and it doesn't really work. So the pattern has you make the heel on one side of the sock first and then on another. On the other sock, you make it on the other side. This way you have the jog on a mirror part of the sock, so you can wear the jog on the inside of your feet and have the pretty smooth motif showing, basically. So yeah, that's it for these socks, which are the first summer sock. I have a couple more sock plans, but like 2 more designs playing with colors with socks, which should happen in the following month if all goes well. And all is not going well because I took a couple of weeks of holiday at the beginning of June and it put me late, but I needed them. And now I'm very lucky to be working on a secret design for a magazine, but it just sort of added to my schedule. And so now I'm like, I am late. And I don't want to have short time frames for test knits. So it means that I kind of need to catch myself up. So I have lots of works in progress at the same time, and I don't like that. But I should be able to make the rest of the collection. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed these ones. They are available, like I said, and there is a 15% discount on Ravelry for the release with the code Daphnis until Sunday. So there's that. I used Filcolana Argueta, which is one of my favorite industrial sock yarns. It is a 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, very soft, good stitch definition. I like the color range, affordable enough for me. And it's not the most affordable sock yarns, but I like it. It's okay. And yeah, I have so many leftovers and I make so many socks out of those leftovers. It feels kind of endless. It's like 210 meters per 50 grams, so it does go a long way. So that's it for the design. I was just released and I have another work in progress, which is also a sock, and put on sunglasses or something. So I don't believe I've said it here, but I am in the process of re-knitting some of my older sock designs, because some of my samples and some of my personal socks are just old now, for a few years and a bit damaged, and also I've gifted a lot of them, so I don't have that many. And I kind of wanted a new set of brand new socks. So I've been re-knitting some of my designs, and the first one is the Vitrail socks, which is a design that I was super lucky to initially publish in one of Making Stories magazine. And so it's a cuff down sock with this texture panel in the front, which is a mock cable and cable pattern. So the mock cable is a stitch that I really like and I've been using a lot. You pass one stitch over 2 stitches and then you knit one yarn over knit one, which makes this kind of round medallion thing with the horizontal knot tightening it and the hole in the center. And I really like it. And then you have a cable here, which is a 3/2 cable with twisted stitches, so not the easiest cable. But I really like that pattern. This is a sock that is knitted in on a larger. I am 2 years old, clearly. On a larger stitch count. That. What are you? Some sort of bug again. This is knitted on a larger stitch count than you usually would for socks because this tightens the fabric quite a lot. But yeah, so that is my first sock, and I started the second one. And yeah, so this is currently on the break because, like I said, I'm working on 2 billion different things at the same time. And I'm using Fil Colonna again in the colorway 371, which is sometimes called hibiscus pink. There is quite a few pink. I'm sorry, the bug is suspended in mid-air, so it's probably a spider, but it's small enough. There's quite a few hot and bright pinks in this yarn, and this is the one that is more magenta. In real life, it looks very neon. It's not so neon. I do have a sweater quantity of it. I want to make a birch pullover by Andrea Mari, which is an overall brioche sweater, which looks gorgeous. So, and I also have a design plan in yarn from Hobby in a similar neon pink. I'm getting a lot of pink yarns at the moment, and purple. I'm very pink and purple at the moment. Very, very by pride moment. But yeah, it's one that I really like, and I can't wait to blind you all with the sweater that I will make with it. Anyway, I have another work in progress, which is black and white. Because I am not a coherent person. I'm losing my voice. So, this is a design that I've submitted to a magazine in the past, and it hasn't been accepted. And I had to shuffle my design plans for this autumn because I really wanted to make it. It's one of the design ideas that I really love. I think it's the one I love the most of all the design ideas that I ever had. It is a Colourwork cardigan with this motif. So this is the original swatch I sent and I made. It's the motif has changed a bit from them, but you can get an idea. These are the colorways Sage and Gold from the Rerum Natura. And it's just a geometric thing that is also random. And I really like it. And I'm making it in black and white because I just wanted something sharp. But I think it's gonna look really good in softer contrast as well, which is why I wanted to show you this. If I had the time, which I do not, I would like a white and beige or caramel version, because I think it would look really good. I might heavily suggest it to a tester so I can see how it looks. And it would also look really good white and pink. Anyway, this is the beast. So it's a bottom-up cardigan that's gonna be steeked. It's not too difficult. If you hate steeking, it's not too difficult to change a pattern to be worked flat. If you're one of those people who like Colourwork flats for some weird reason, messing up with you. But yeah, it's not too difficult. This is gonna be a fairly simple construction. It's gonna be drop shoulder with a round neck. I'm kind of thinking bomber jacket style, and this is how it looks. So it's not blocked and it's on too small needle for the size, so it's not the best to show, but hopefully you get an idea. So I started with twisted ribbing, I joined in the round and added the steek stitches. If you've never done a steek, I know some people are afraid of sticking. It's not like sticks come at night to eat children, but just make a swatch, do it on the swatch. The process of sticking is not difficult, it's just that there are different steps, but each of them is fairly simple. How I do my sticks is that I will sew with the sewing machine. You can do it by hand. With the sewing machine, I will make a long straight stitch and a zigzag stitch on either side of the stick to secure them. Then I do a crochet reinforcement so that I have a neat edge, and then I cut, and that's it. You don't need to be a efficient sewist. I am not. That's about the only thing I know how to use my sewing machine for, is to stick. You don't need to be an efficient crocheter either. Like, there are many different versions of how to stick and many tutorials, but I recommend that you do it on the swatch. So first you see if you like it, because you might not, and you might like Colourwork flat, so you know, you do you. And you need to try it to see if it suits you, and to sort of make it a little bit less dramatic, right? There is one thing, which a tip that is nothing revolutionary, but that I do think that it changes a lot to know, is that make a purl stitch on either side of your stick. So of course I made mine black, so you can't really tell, but this is, see, I have a purl stitch here, 3 knit stitches, and a purl stitch here. If your pattern doesn't have a purl stitch on either side of your stick, I highly recommend that you just change one of the stick stitches and make a purl stitch. It's gonna help you a lot for several reasons. First, it's gonna make a dip, and it's gonna be very easy if you sew down with the sewing machine. It's gonna be a very good guide. Second reason is that it makes a super neat edge here from which you can pick up your stitches to make the button band or the sleeves. It's just much easier. You're gonna have, you see that first white knit stitch here? I'm gonna pick up from that. And that is gonna be super easy, because the purl stitch is gonna flip, once it's gonna be cut, it's gonna flip the stitches inside. It's kind of like, you know, if you make a folded hem, you're gonna have a purl stitch in the middle. This is because when you have a purl, it creates sort of a dip in your knitting, and it flaps the things in half. It encourages the fold. And so that actually makes less of a bulk. So when you're sticking, you have a slight thickness here, which actually adds stability. But I'm sorry, I'm on the table and I keep bumping it, and I can't stop myself from doing it. I tried while recording the French podcast and I just can't. So you're gonna have the stick stitches inside here, and it's gonna be a little bit thicker. If you have a purl stitch, it's gonna flap inside almost on its own, completely, and you're gonna have a flat border. If I'm folding something that is all knitted, the border is rounded. See? So this adds a lot of thickness, but if it's a purl stitch, I don't have extra thickness on the edge here. I have it under, but not on the edge. It's gonna stay flatter, and it's gonna be super neat and easy to keep inside, sew down, to hide, if you want to put a ribbon, whatever. So yeah, that is the one stick method that maybe can change and make it easier, is put a purl stitch on either side. It's really important to me. I really think it makes it so much easier, especially the picking up the stitches. Because if you need to pick up the stitch, especially for the sleeves where it's going to be super visible, If you have a messy knit edge and you don't know which line to pick, because maybe you changed colors, you know, I'm making a solid, I'm making a solid knit white. Here you can see it's solid, but sometimes you're gonna have the pattern going in the way, right? And if you don't have a clear edge stitch can be a bit tricky to pick up from it. So the purl stitch can help you with that. And so, yeah, that's it. Try sticking on a swatch. You'll be fine. This is what I have so far. This knits up so fast. Seriously. This is like maybe 6 hours worth of knitting. And yeah, so one thing is that the Colourwork, in order for it to be mirrored on the front, here, you switch charts at the back. So it's actually the same chart, except it's flipped vertically. So if you want, you can read the chart once from right to left normally, and then read it backwards. I personally, I can't, my brain cannot do that. I'm too silly. I can't read backwards. It makes me, it really confuses me, and I always lose my spot. So I make 2 charts, but basically here you can see I have a marker here. At the center back, it just starts going the opposite. And some sizes, including mine, will not finish a repeat. You just do half a repeat here. So you start and end the chart halfway point. And basically, the design is not going to be complicated because, like I said, simple construction. If you familiarize yourself with sticking, it's fine. And the Colourwork is pretty intuitive with how geometric it is. However, it's not necessarily going to be a super beginner-friendly design for one reason, is that you will have to maintain the pattern yourself on the upper body. So maintaining a pattern means that, okay, you have a full repeat of the chart, but let's say I bind off stitches for the underarm, which I will do here, or for a neck. I bind off stitches and I don't have the right amount of stitches to do my full repeat anymore. So I can't start my chart at the beginning because it's not going to be aligned. So what I need to do is I need to read my knitting, figure out where I am on the chart and start accordingly. And I have talked about this in a recent episode where I was knitting a full-on lace sweater design, which is coming at the end of August. It's in testing. When you have that, when you have a pattern repeat and you need to do shaping around the upper body, right? You have 2 ways that the designer can do it. Either you make fully charted design. So this is the choice that I did for that lace pullover I'm talking about. It is a V-neck, and so I have made charts with the entire V-neck showing how the lace works with the edge stitch. This has a couple of advantages. It's easy, of course. It's the advantage is that it's easier to follow, and especially when you're working a more complicated motif like lace or cable, especially the lace that I was working with. Sometimes you have the yarn overs there, but the corresponding decreases are a bit further away. So you need to count how many stitches you have left to know if you can do the lace while you're doing the decreases, etc. So having the charts completely done, which is the decision that I made for this lace sweater, makes it easier to knit. It's just more pleasant. It's something that I prefer to do with lace because it's not as intuitive to read your knitting in lace. And having it fully charted means that you only need to focus on the chart and you don't need to think. So that's the decision that I made for this lace sweater. However, the disadvantage of that is that it blocks the length of your sweater because you need to stop the body at a certain point in the chart so that you can start the charts that I made for each size for the shaping. And if you want to change the body length, then you'll have to add a full chart repeat. In that design, it's like 8 centimeters, so that's quite a lot, right? If your row gauge is wrong, then you won't have the same armhole depth. So that's the disadvantage of that. If you fully chart the shaping with the pattern already all done, the knitter only has to follow it, it means that the knitter will have a fixed length in their body in their upper, like the armhole, the v-neck, etc. And they can't change it whether they want it. If their row gauge is wrong, it's gonna be wrong, and it can be a problem. The reason I decided to still do it for the lace pullover is that it's lace. And so it's going to be floppy, it's going to be loose, and when you block it, you can you have some wiggle room, basically. When you pick up stitches for the sleeves as well, you can readjust it. So it's okay for the lace pullover to do this. The other solution is to just tell the knitter to maintain the pattern themselves, basically. I'm gonna give you the decreases, and you're going to follow the pattern yourself. You're gonna read your knitting and you're gonna maintain it. There is no right or wrong way, right? It's a preference thing. Some knitters really hate when they have a fixed set of instructions and they feel like they don't have freedom, and they feel like the pattern is too wordy and too detailed, and some knitters really need the help. So yeah, for me, you may have guessed it, it's a case-by-case basis. It really depends on the pattern, whether I'm going to do the full charts or whether I'm going to tell the knitter, maintain the pattern yourself. For this design, I have chosen to let people maintain the pattern themselves because the main thing is that it's much easier in Colourwork to do it. Because especially with such a geometric pattern, you see if suddenly I'm gonna bind off for the armholes and this is where it ends, you can see where the lines are and you can very easily find your place again in the chart and maintain it yourself. The other reason is that when the lace sweater was floppy, this is not gonna be floppy. It's gonna be a simple constructions with lots of ease, but I didn't want to compromise on the grading because I would have needed to stop the body length at a fixed point, stop the neck and armhole depth at the fixed point, and couple sizes together, basically. And I didn't want that because it would have meant that for one size, the shoulder would have been like with, I don't know, I'm saying stupid numbers, but like 10 centimeter ease, and for another size, it would have been 5. And that's wrong. I think it would have been a shame, especially since I view this as kind of a coat jacket because it's gonna be dense and really warm, and you can make it longer, and I really want people to be able to have the right fit on the arm and on the round neck, because it's a bit annoying if you don't have a cardigan that closes the way you want it to. And if you want to have a lower round neck, that will be possible as well. If you don't want to, I'm gonna make like I said, like a baseball type of round bomber teddy jacket. I don't know what the name is of it. But you can make it lower scoop if you want something looser. And yeah, so I didn't want to have a less accurate grading for each size just for the sake of making charts specifically with the upper body and the round neck, etc. I think it would have been a shame, considering it's much easier to do that, maintaining yourself the pattern in Colourwork. So it's not going to be beginner friendly in that sense. However, if you've already done bottom-up garments, if you're familiar a bit with Colourwork, I don't think that would be an issue at all. But yeah, that is the decision that I made for this design. And I'm really looking forward to completing it. I was wondering if I should have, but it's a bit difficult to see because it's on a 80 centimeter cable, 32 inches, and so it's all bunched up and I can't see how wide it is. I was considering making a much tighter hem, but then I remembered that it does not work with my body. And since I will want to wear it closed, I can't have something that is too tight around the hips, because I don't necessarily want to make it longer. I want to make it around my hip length, so maybe I'm gonna have it mid, but I don't know. I'll see how long I make it. Here's my wrong side, if you wanna be mad. Here's catching the yarn. I'm using Sandnes Garn Pure Grint, and this is the black 10.99, and this is the white. I don't remember I think it's the natural white 10.12. I wanted to use Pure Grint. It's my first time working with it, so it's the DK worsted weight. I'm getting a 22 stitches per 10 centimeter gauge on 4mm, and it's denser than I thought it would be, but it's gonna be nice and firm like a jacket. It's gonna be great. I had the impression that Pure Grint was the same yarn as the Rauma Findelgarn yarn, which I have used for a sweater. I don't know why, I thought it was the same yarn, but I don't think it is. First, I think this is superwash, because it has the machine washable logo. And I don't think Fino is from Rauma. It's much softer than Rauma. That's the thing that I noticed, and that surprised me because I thought it was the same yarn. But it's much softer. The white is softer than the black, which is always a funny thing. It happens often with Scandinavian yarn for some reason, that the black wool is more prickly. It's not prickly. I love it. It makes a really lovely, beautiful colorwork. And yeah, so really excited for this. I really hope it looks like I want it to look. And I'm looking forward to the test. It's so fun, colorwork tests. I'm getting spam text messages. It's so fun, colorwork test knits, because some people are so creative with their color choices. Like I said, this will look so nice with softer contrast as well. This is tighter than what it's gonna be in the real project, but it's just to give you an idea. Like I said, I really think like a white and a camel beige caramel color would look lovely. Yeah, I think variegated yarns, yeah, it depends. If it's contrasted enough with your main color, like you have a main color that is a solid and your contrast color is variegated, but there's no nuance that is like the main color, then yeah, I think that would work. But mostly any type of contrast, like a bright color, like I said, like this would be so fun. Ooh. Yeah, green, anything. Anything would work, but I wanted mine black and white, and hopefully I can wear it a little bit easier with the colors. I mean, it's still pretty out there, I think, in terms of design. By out there, I mean, I'm not saying that I made something super unique, etc. Just that it's like kind of in your face. But I really like it. I like geometric patterns that are actually random, because I like it. Because then doing the test knit, my testers are like, are you sure that stitch is supposed to be black? Because logically, with the rest of the design, it's supposed to be white. And I'm like, no, there's no logic. Deal with it. It's, yeah, sometimes there is a mistake, absolutely. But it's just that I like the randomness of, I like adding random bits of color in lines that are that should be neat, but it's actually not completely. And I think that gives a nice effect. I like it. And yeah, that is all of the project that I wanted to share. I have a little Patreon update for you. So if you don't know, I have a Patreon page where you can have access to some behind the scenes content. So basically the way Patreon works, it's a monthly subscription that is totally flexible, so you can come and go. You have 3 levels on my Patreon. You have the first level, which is €2 plus the VAT, depending on where you live. And the first level gives you access to the test knits, some previews of the designs that are coming, some free patterns. There's a few free exclusive to Patreon patterns. No, not free because they're on Patreon. Exclusive to Patreon patterns there, and there are more coming if I have time. And that's it. Then there's a second and third level for €5 and €10 respectively. Does that mean the same thing in English than it does in French? Perhaps not. Where you get 1 or 2 patterns of your choice per month. It's more accessible if you get the second level, so €5. If you plan to buy a garment pattern from me, going through Patreon is more accessible. So if you want to get a pattern and you've been wondering if you would join Patreon to have a look at the videos and all the rest, you can hop in for 1 month and then just leave. It's absolutely flexible. I insist on that. It's very important to me that you don't feel like you have to stay for a certain duration on Patreon. I find it's very uncomfortable when people apologize for unsubscribing. Like, go away. No. I don't want you. I don't want your apology. That's what I mean. It's just, I like how you can just go and support different creators every month if you have the means to. But like I said, if it's also a more accessible way for you to buy a pattern at the second level. And you will also have access to special videos. So there are different kinds of videos. So since the beginning of the years, I've been making some vlogs, like creative vlogs about random things, which are a blend of music and of me chatting. All of my videos on Patreon are recorded in French, and up to last June, they are subtitled in English. Unfortunately, from now on, I won't be able to subtitle every video for Patreon. I will always let you know if the video on Patreon is subtitled in English or not for a certain month. And this month's video for July is subtitled, and it is about raglan sweaters. So it's an overview, a general discussion of how a raglan construction works, so that you can be more comfortable making modifications, for example, or if you're following a pattern that is not so beginner friendly and you've never done a raglan and you need more guidance, maybe seeing how it works will help you with that. And so this video is subtitled in English, as well as a lot of other videos from the past, because when you join Patreon, you have access to all the back catalog of videos, and I think we're approaching like 50 videos now. I think there's 46. So that's it. If you would like to join us on Patreon, all of the other content is both in French and in English, and most of the videos will be subtitled in English, like I said. It's only the very long vlog videos that I'm not able to subtitle anymore, but you still have a lot of the past videos, some of the future technical videos, and the creative vlogs, which I'm still subtitling in English. They're kind of like a mix of a podcast and the pause videos, which I used to do last year on YouTube, with some music and some random bits. And so far, there are 3 of them on my Patreon, so yes, that's it. If you are interested, it's a lot clearer on the Patreon description if you would like to check it out, and it would be lovely to have you there, even for a month too, however you want to stay, however long you want to stay. So Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you again mid-July for the last summer design of this year. Yeah, a little sleeveless top coming your way. I think it's July 20 that I scheduled this. So yeah, I will see you then, and in the meantime I wish you a very happy rest of the day, evening, whenever you're watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!